Hello, it's Ian Rob. I'm going to do something a little bit different today. I'm going to do a top 8 report for Pro Tour Aetherdrift. So, going to Pro Tour Aetherdrift is my first time ever playing at a Magic Gathering Pro Tour. How I got on the Pro Tour is a funny story where I went down to DC from Rhode Island to go hang out with one of my friends, Alex Rubin, for a weekend, just play some Magic, have some fun, and I was just going to play a couple of the last chance qualifiers, play for this main event, be able to qualify at the regional championship in October. After going down to my final chance to make it LCQ and make it in, I made it, and somehow I went all the way, playing a very good version of Blue Red Phoenix and getting very lucky in a lot of situations, and I ended up on the Pro Tour because of that. Once I got on, I knew I really wanted to take it seriously, as I knew I was probably going to only get one chance ever to play, and it was something I really wanted to do my entire life, but just haven't really had the time to try and qualify for. So when I got reached out to and was able to join Team NRG for this event, I really want to take it seriously, and I ended up going to a testing house for a week before to work with everyone else. Theo Jung captained the team and did a great job organizing everything for the event itself. And the whole week before, I really was focusing more on draft than standard, because my thought process was, I've never really played draft at any professional level of any game, so I just want to make sure that I had a decent idea of what I was doing, because I felt that was going to be both my biggest edge and also my biggest weakness. Well constructed, even let's say I'm around a 48% to win because I didn't get enough practice or didn't know my deck well enough, I could still win in that format. But draft, I didn't really know what I was doing. I knew I wouldn't do well. So I made sure to put a lot of time in to understanding others' thought process, how to draft, and also just what I should be focusing on, not just from how to draft in general, but also the specifics of the set Aetherdrift, which ended up being a little bit of a slower set than usual for something you expect with what kind of cards were printed and mechanics in the set, but knowing that it was going to be a slower format and the middle cards were going to be very good, was very important for the actual event itself. The deck I ended up deciding to submit was Mono Red Aggro. Going into the event, my team, mainly Theo Jun, thought it was going to be a really good play because one of the deck's biggest weaknesses is cut down, and based on the meta on the online tournaments beforehand, decks with cut down just weren't really popular, so it just made a lot of sense to play a deck that was strong into a field of not much cut down. So with him and Quinton Knoll, world's top 4 with Mono Red, I thought it would be a great choice to play the deck. So that's why I ended up playing that in Standard. Going to the tournament itself, I felt pretty good about it. I was not really having much high expectations as my first Pro Tour, but my goal going in really was just try and requalify, and being able to just get the experience of going to a Pro Tour was just so much fun that I really wanted to make sure that I at least had an opportunity to play one more. The event itself, my first draft, ended up being kind of interesting because we had green as the best color in the set, as I've noticed a lot of people had, and we were really hoping to either start off in green or be in green. My first pack on pick one was Riverturn Monument, the mill artifact that, in my opinion, is actually one of the best cards in the set, so I was very happy to open that. And after that, the draft played itself really, where I was kind of forced into blue-red, as that's what the cards I saw, and I knew that if you are able to go into blue-red, if you can pick up a couple of the uncommons are really good for it, or maybe one or two of the rares, that can be really good. And even though I wasn't happy being a blue-red Riverturn Monument deck, I still think the cards are so powerful that I didn't really care if I wasn't the best colors for Riverturn Monument. I just wanted to be able to play blue. So after getting a little bit lucky in my second pack, getting mine to Endurance in the Chariot, apologize to remember the card's name, the one that creates zombies. I had a pretty good blue-red deck after going through pack 3, and I ended up able to go 2-1 in draft. I faced Marcio Carvalho in my second round, the world's finalist from last year. Very strong player, and being able to play against players like that my first Pro Tour made it very exciting. Going 2-1 in my first draft I was pretty happy with. I thought my deck range was 1-2 to 3-0, so I was pretty happy with just getting a 2-1 after losing my first game in round 3. Going to Standard was a little bit sketchy my first day, where I went 4-2, and both my losses were a little bit weird. My first loss was a Sand Party on Jessica Oculus. I think that the matchup was not great for us, as the combination of a large creature with really cheap removal spells is just really hard for Mono Red to get through, and I ended up losing that 2-1. And after that, I lost to Nicole Dubin on Esper Pixie. That match was really close. I think it's really just draw dependent on how both players draw, and if the Mono Red player is able either on the play get enough pressure, or on the draw has like a really good hand, just the high impact cards like Manifold Mouse and the Sphinx, the Lynx. I think the matchup was pretty fine, but I didn't really get the cards I wanted in the matchup, so I lost that. Started off 2-3, and I was able to win my next 3 in a row to finish off the day 5-3. Ended up facing Pixie 2 more times, and Green-Black Flexion and Obliterator against Alexander Hayne, where I got very lucky to top deck exactly I had 2 cards in my whole deck that could have won me the game, which was 2 copies of Lynx, and I was able to draw one of them and defeat him. Going 5-3, I was pretty happy with. I think that after starting 2-3, you can't really be complaining about going 5-3. I think that a lot of things have to go right, and for me, they all did. Just being able to draw the cards in the right situations, be able to top deck, or just being able to put myself in favorable positions that I was able to convert. For my second day, I had Marcio Carvalho in my draft pod again, and I've been playing green-white. It's not really a color combination that I want to be in the format, but I look at the archetype as I just call it green-white rares, as you play it if you get the rares. And I got enough rares, my deck ended up being pretty okay. I got 2 copies of District Mascot, my second pack, which is a little bit weird, but the card's like really good if you're on the play and you open a turn 1 into a true drop, which I was able to do in one of my games. And I think that the deck's just overall kind of okay. It was just very high variance because the deck filled with rares and commons. So you're just going to have a lot of good draws and a lot of bad draws. So I'll go 2-1 with that deck, which I was very happy with because, again, green-white's not the greatest, and I was able to get to Game 3 of the finals of the pod to go 3-0, so I was overall pretty happy with my result there and getting to 7-4. Once I got to 7-4, I had 5 more rounds of Standard left. The goal really was just to re-qualify for the next Pro Tour, go 3-2, not have much higher expectations than that, and just hope that the draws go my way. I ended up getting very lucky, being able to go 5-0 in the second portion of Standard at the Pro Tour. I was able to defeat Esper Pixie in my first round, and then I had to face my teammate Theo Jung in the Mono Red Mirror, which I was able to win. I then also had to face Marcio Carvalho in a very close 3-game set where I was able to top deck lethal in games 1 and 3. So I was feeling pretty good at myself after that, having to win my last 2, which I ended up being able to do, where I defeated Green-Red Aggro, which was a great matchup. And then on my win in for top 8, or I didn't even think it was top 8, but I knew I was playing for Worlds, was against Esper Pixie that I was able to 12-0. So I was starting 12-4. I was really happy with my result. My first ever Pro Tour, I was re-qualified for the next one and the World Championship. I couldn't really ask for more. And looking at the resistance going to round 16, I knew that my resistance between me and 8th was about 3%, 2-3%, which is really hard to overcome in a 16-round event. But they still pulled me backstage, even though I knew I had no chance of making top cut. And as, 7th and 8th, which no one knew was going to be, they wanted their raw, genuine reactions, which they ended up getting very excited. So when I heard my name being 8th, I was probably the most excited I've ever been about making top cut at a tournament. I didn't really think that making a Pro Tour or even making top 8 was going to be a thing I was ever going to be able to do in a card game. So it's just so incredibly exciting for me to have an opportunity to play on Sunday and compete for the championship on the Pro Tour. And going into Sunday, I felt pretty good because I saw there was a lot of domain, and I knew that while, yes, I was going to be on the draw in every matchup, if one domain player stumbled when the game started to play, I could easily win the whole thing if my draws lined up. And unfortunately, in top 8 against Matt Nast, my draws didn't really line up all that well. I had to, in game 1, mulligan to 5 and keep a hand that I wasn't in love with. But on the 5, your keep range isn't really that diverse. Game 2, I was able to keep my 7 and ended up being a really good curve, so that game was pretty easy. And then post board, my first hand, game 3 on the draw, I kept a 7 that I didn't love, but really any hand with Sunspine links, I'm going to be keeping that matchup if I at least have 1/1 drop in it and some lands. In game 4, I had a mull of 6, and I ended up flooding out 3 turns in a row when I could have won any of those turns with a okay draw. So, well, I think I got a little bit unlucky in top 8. I still think that hold the luck I get there. I didn't really mind. I wasn't too upset. So, overall, the event was an incredible experience, and now I'm excited to hopefully be playing the next couple of Pro Tours if life allows it. And yeah, that was my Pro Tour report. Hopefully, I'll be doing more of these in the future. And once again, the shout out Team Energy for sponsoring my team, Theo Jung for captaining, and everyone else for being really cool and fun to hang out with for a whole week. Till next time, peace.